And we are the non-profits. Premise 1, I'm Denis Loubet, along with Jamie Boone and Derrick Hawk. Premise 2, we are in the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas. Premise 3, the date is the 31st of August, 2019. Except it's not. Premise 4, it's the 7th of September, a week after we should have recorded the show on the 31st of August. But who shows up in the last day of the month when historically we've never had to? Durr. Premise 5, you are seeing this show on the 8th of September 2019 at the earliest, but it should have been the 1st. Conclusion, we're recording the show with a temporarily messed up schedule. Premise 1, the Atheist Community of Austin is a nonprofit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state. Premise 2, you can learn more about the ACA by calling their voicemail at 512-220-6561 or visiting their website at www.atheist-community.org. Wow. Premise 3, without the ACA, you would not be seeing this show. Conclusion, the Atheist Community of Austin sponsors the nonprofits. Premise 1, the nonprofits broadcasts every first and third Sunday of each month from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time, except, ironically enough, when the first Sunday fell on the 1st of this month. Alas. Premise 2, you can join the Nonprofits chat room by following the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com. And Premise 3, today is not the third Sunday of this month, or for that matter, the first. Premise 4, the Nonprofits broadcast today. Conclusion, today is inexplicably the second Sunday of this month. Sit back and enjoy this awkward conclusion.
That was beautiful.
You know, I think I will actually just sit back for a moment and enjoy the. Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So yeah. Now I don't have to say anything. What Dennis said
What
at the
I
beginning
said.
of the thing. Hello
Yes.
and welcome to the Nonprofits.
Completely explains why we're off schedule.
Yeah.
We never had to come in at the end of a month before.
I would never expect you to call people out live on the show like that, Dennis. That is definitely a thing that you did.
I am
that I should
exercising-
receive no blame for.
I am exercising my rights.
As a show. So with us today we have guest Derrick Hawk. Derrick,
Hello, how you doing?
Yay.
you're a hawk.
Yes, I am.
That's yeah. There's
In French, we're called Hawke.
No, it'd be Hawke or something.
No, I like the way I say it better.
Different, yeah, but it's not French. You're wrong. So,
Yay.
so how have you been? Anything big and exciting and relevant to our audience to talk about real quick before we get started?
I just finished a short story. I'm about to release it.
Ooh.
Cool.
A
Cool.
nice little pagan demon exorcism, Native American horror story that I love to do.
Do you have a blog where people could find these things?
I have a YouTube channel called Hawk1. That's where you'll see a lot of, or all of my videos, my stories, and stories that I narrate myself, as well as, stories I narrate and stories I've authored and narrate and do all the graphic arts for. It's a fun time.
Well, there you go.
Cool. Is there like a place where if someone wanted to read your stories, they could read your stories? Like,
They can find all the links within each individual video.
okay, cool. Well, watch YouTube.
Yep.
Short
And
answer.
I'm on Twitter,
Yeah.
Hawk1, Twitter.
Okay.
Hit me up.
Kill a hawk.
The way you said that, the way you say, I'm Twitter, Killahawk1, Twitter. Twitter. No, it was just the like beginning and end of like the introducing Twitter. You're about to hear a Twitter handle. Here's the Twitter handle. Twitter.
Yeah.
You've just heard.
Did I do it wrong?
No, it's just I'd never heard it done that way. Is that more effective? Will more people following me if I say Twitter, Jamie the Heathen, Twitter?
I think so.
Than if I say you can find me on Twitter at Jamie the Heathen?
Again, I like the way I said it better.
Well, that's fine. I'm asking for the. You know what? You know what?
Yeah, know what?
You know what?
Love you.
So Dennis,
Right. Yes.
you got a little extra
Do we go into-
Dennis stuff, or are you ready for the first story?
Oh, I'm ready for the first story.
Ready for
Nothing's
the first
really
story?
changed.
Yeah. Steadfast Dennis coming up with
I
excellence.
mean, the usual, waking up and checking, Facebook and seeing what kind of damage control,
what this show could possibly do.
Yeah.
Well,
but other than that,
well, that's life right now. But.
yeah.
So let's begin at the very beginning with our first story. Dennis, start us off?
All right. Fox News pastor. Atheists broke America by saying we can be good without God. A recent survey found a dramatic decline in the number of young Americans who consider being religious and having kids as very important priorities. Yay!
That's because we see what your religions are doing and we're broke, so we can't afford a house for those kids to go.
But of course, I'm sure Fox presents it as a bad thing. During a conversation about that poll this morning on Fox and Friends, Trump-worshipping Pastor Robert Jeffress blamed the decline on secularists who pushed the idea that we can be good without God.
I mean, I'm happy to take credit for my part in telling people that, hey, you do you and that's okay generally.
You know, every civilization is only one generation away from barbarianism. I think he meant barbarism.
I think...
What a freaking idiot. If we fail to pass our faith and values on to our children and children's children, it leads to a moral unraveling of society. And that's what we see happening right now.
Really? I could almost say
unraveling fast right now.
They're just a bunch of yarn on the ground, no sweaters.
Everybody loves their country there. It must be unraveling at a breakneck pace.
No Jesus, not for me. So if he's trying to talk about unraveling moral blah, 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 blah. Moral, no, but civic and ethical commitment to the Enlightenment principles upon which this country was founded. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people trying to unravel the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, about 60 years ago, secularists started telling us that as a nation we could be good without God, and so we tried to pass along values without the undergirding spiritual foundation for that, and it's been a complete wreck.
60 years ago? So he's blaming the 60s.
I guess, yeah.
Is what he's going for.
Something like that.
Well, that's
crazy.
That's my parents' fault. That's not me. I didn't do that. Or that's their parents. Whatever. What? Okay. 70 years ago was the 50s. Checkmate, dude.
Yeah. Pastor Robert Jeffress.
Isn't he one of those Trump tools?
Oh, he's Trump worshipping.
Very much so.
Lord Hemet's.
You know, somebody said socialism works until you run out of other people's money. Well, secularism works until you run out of other people's faith. And as a nation, we can't live on the faith of 3 generations ago. We have to embrace faith and pass it on to our children.
So I will say, among all the things that came a-tumbling out his mouth, the turn of phrase, socialism, secularism, I'm like, okay, you've used the English language before, a point. Yeah. At this point, I look for anything shiny to pretend that there's a silver lining, and he actually used an old phrase to make a new phrase to make his point.
Yep.
It's sort of like after you've listened to like an hour of Islamic apologists that explain their points in lengthy stories that could easily be... It's like listening to me when I go on and on, like right now.
Right.
Where it's like I have a point and it's taken me like 20 seconds to get to this point, right? At a certain point, you just want anything novel or interesting or like half-baked as an idea. And that one phrase that he said was interesting.
Yeah, well,
allow me to play, angel's advocate
until
here.
You run out of other people's faith.
Until you run out of other people's faith.
What does that even mean?
Well, it doesn't have to mean anything. You're using the word faith in a religious context. You can throw any other words around it and Deepak Chopra the shit out of that.
I have objection to the first phrase.
So we're bankrupting until we run out of other people's faith.
So it's like his thing was whatever.
Yeah, somebody said socialism works until you run out of other people's money.
Gee,
Who's talking about rooting around in
Other people's
in
money.
Social Security right now? Who's talking about
Who thinks that their church needs
stealing money
government
from that?
assistance?
Capitalists. So yeah.
Well, it's sort of, I forget who it was that said, the problem in America is that you have capitalism for the poor and socialism for the rich.
Yep.
I think the
like
key
pick
term
one.
here is what Christians and theists really abhor is the idea that you can be good without God.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, their whole deal, even though they don't say it that way, is we're better than you.
Yeah.
You know, we believe in Jesus, so we're better.
Yeah. They hold a knowledge that we are incapable of obtaining.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked by somebody, so where do you get your morals from?
Yeah.
Have you
Oh
ever been
God,
asked
I know all the time.
And it's like, how could I find it offensive personally?
It is.
It's insulting.
incredibly
Little bit.
offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't you a bad person? Is sort of the question. Like, how is it possible that you're moral right now?
Yeah.
Is the thing. That's the equivalent. But Fox News is
Oh God.
it's
like-
like
yeah.
do you
I'm
have
sorry. The story goes on.
you
The problem is, even in families that are intact, they tell their children, well, you need to do this and do that. You know, it's wrong to shoot other people in school. And somebody says, well, why is it wrong? And the parent doesn't have any real good answer.
they just say Jesus.
Yeah. Who says what's right and wrong? You have to have that spiritual foundation. The Bible says fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And I think as a nation, that's where we're missing it. If fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom, what's fear of the gun? Damn it, man.
The
Beginning of bullet holes.
Yeah.
say if fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, then the religiously inspired bomber that had booby-trapped bombs here in Austin was what?
Yeah.
He wasn't praying
Is
enough.
that wise?
Yeah. I mean, depends on who you ask, actually.
So,
It's funny how religion works that way.
why is it wrong to shoot up people in schools?
So the basis of morality is about how human beings interact, and so it revolves around the effect of your actions on yourself and other human beings.
Yeah.
And shooting someone tends to not be beneficial for them.
Yeah, and we can do the thing, well, if you have an ounce of empathy, you can...
Well, he's saying that you can find the answers in the Bible. What is the answer? I mean,
Yeah,
thou shalt not kill, but
No, he's saying
unless you're an Amalekite.
unless you're a Mechalite,
Yeah.
or unless you work
And
on the
Amal-
Sabbath, unless
Yeah.
you have sex with another man, unless you eat shellfish, unless you...
are
then it's just
not
kill,
of
kill.
God's chosen people and get in the way.
Yeah,
I
unless
was-
unless you beat your slave and he dies within a few days.
dies too fast. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
go for the subdural hematoma.
But, man,
Yeah. Well, so it's the difference between, if you can't explain everything to me, then it's terrible. You should just listen to the man who thumps the Bible the best and do whatever he says.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
yeah, I have to
Obey.
assume the only thing keeping this guy in check from going out and shooting people is that there's a carrot of heaven and a stick of hell held over him, and it's like, he's in this weird pre-moral state where he doesn't actually think morally. He just chases heaven and runs away from hell. That's it. That's his morality.
Well, so his morality is submission and obedience
Yeah.
to, morality. His code of ethics is submission and obedience to his Lord, Father, Savior,
He's
Big
confused-
Daddy, Papa Sky, or whatever. it
confused
is.
obedience with morality.
When I was in college, I went to a Catholic college, university, Notre Dame University, and of course we had to do our religious electives, which were actually required. But
Which
anyways,
were elective. You can elect to do Church 1
Yep.
or Church 2.
we had to do 3 theology classes, and one of them, I can't remember the name of the class, they all blurred the same, but every beginning of the class, every day, the teacher, the professor would read a passage like a daily affirmation from the Bible, and basically it was everything that is good in your life comes from God. Every failure, every fault is your failing, your fault. And I'm like,
right.
That's not fair.
Blame the victim. Yeah, it's all that.
And it always put me in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd be like writing my notes. I'm like, God didn't do that. I did that. Like, why can't I take credit for, if even if I am a believer, thinking that I had the willpower, I had the judgment, I had the know-how to make the right decision and feel proud about that, instead of thinking, like there's nothing good that you can do without God's knowledge, God's grace, God's enlightenment.
Right. I mean, my answer is you can, because you did.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you escaped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she didn't even let us blame the devil. It was still you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, no, so it's interesting because there's an interesting thing. Christianity gets away with having all kinds of God-ish things and still saying
and bizarre
monotheism,
double standards.
Because 3 gods is the same as 1 God because 3 is 1. And if you don't understand, that's because it's a mystery. And if you still question it, you're wrong. Is sort of what the mystery of the Trinity boiled down to. Excuse me, when I would talk to people about it, inspired by Rick and Morty over here. But in Islam, there's a similar thing because there's, cultural and regional beliefs about jinn that are basically like evil genies that do shit. And the question of, well, if you believe and are afraid of jinn, then you're believing and being afraid of something that isn't Allah.
Yeah.
So you're doing it wrong. Right. There's nothing else but Allah and then the world. Which is sort of an interesting viewpoint because basically that view and sort of the interesting difference between Christianity and Islam on the world stage is they don't pray for miracles, right? Like they're not saying, oh, Jesus is going to come and help us win a war. It's like, no, we're here. We know what we're doing. And unless we build weapons, we won't have them. And unless we, build civilization, we won't have it, whatever. I'm talking about the extremists, obviously. It's interesting because it's very, at its core, it's like, yeah, we're doing this because God told us to do it, and then at that point they're done in terms of their theology and what you do with the God part. Like they don't have a really super interventionist God. They just have a creation.
Yeah. See, I have relatives from
or at least it appears that way.
From Brownwood, Texas, and this is this is the Christians that that God comes to them in dreams, and then the lights in the sky and the UFOs. So it's really crazy stuff there. But I listen to them, and for being protected by Christ and being saved, they live in terror because there is this supernatural warfare going on. They believe that there is demons surrounding them with their whole intent to try to tempt them, to try to actually even possess them and lead them astray. And I'm like, well, where are the goddamn angels?
Yeah.
I mean,
shit.
And can you believe that, this God that puts you in the middle of this battle and gives you no armament, gives you no protection,
Yeah, you're born in the middle of it.
Born sick and made sick and commanded to be well.
If you have an addiction, that's a demon possession. Or if you have bad thoughts or dirty thoughts or you covet, these are demons influencing you. And I'm like, well, first of all, what defenses has this God given you to protect you against these basically demigods that for some reason they have the whole universe to explore and manipulate, but they want to come down here and mess with you to make sure that you steal that dollar from Walmart or whatever.
Right. It's
I was sort of like
it's incredibly childish.
It
too.
is.
It's
absurd.
The logic of it. It's like
it really is.
I mean, it was developed in a time when 30 years old was old. So the oldest people that would have been learning or writing things were like teenagers who happened to survive and had no education. So
it's again at Brownwood. My mom went to visit my aunt, and her sister, and they were having a prayer group. And
because you do.
And the preacher, so they're standing in a circle, holding each other's hands and praying. And my mom just had a divorce. She was really fragile and kind of really emotional. And the preacher looks up above her. And this is a story they told me. He looks up above her and goes, there's a star above you. And then the person next to her goes, I see it too. And the next person next to him says, I see it too. They all saw it except for my mom and the aunt because it was behind them. And I'm an asshole. I've always been an asshole. I don't apologize for it. And I should have told her this. I didn't tell her this because I'm not that an asshole. But I said, Mom, mother dear, you are not that important for God to blow up an entire star for you, to send you a message that you didn't see. And it's sad. These are the manipulation tactics of these people.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were always up in arms trying to pray and try to buy tents. I don't know what the tent, I don't know why they didn't go to Academy and buy a good tent, but they are for tent revivals.
Oh, right.
Well, why wouldn't you buy your tent revival tent at Academy? It's quality tent.
I don't know. They were always trying to buy a tent. They were trying to raise money to buy a tent.
Well, okay. I really hope that was just a mark. I don't know.
And we're not talking a pup tent. We're talking
no. You're talking like a tent revival tent, right? Like a circus tent or whatever the size.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that hopes that was just a marketing ploy and that they're not that bad with tents, that they're like always in need of. What did you do with the last one I gave you?
Every time they talked about raising money, they were raising money for a tent.
I have to say something, I guess.
Oh my gosh. It's very much like, hey, God, can I have another...
God can create the whole universe, but can't create a tent.
Can I have another tent? My child, what the fuck did you do with the last one? This is like 6 tents in a month. Come on now. This is why you can't have nice things.
Well, Loa, it blew ways.
Gotta be prepared for that shit.
And we saw a better one at the Walmart.
Saw a better one at the Walmarts. Whatever. Fine, then buy that one. It's cheaper. God. Yeah. But no, it reminds me, actually, you saying that story reminds me of, it was like some Christmas party that my parents were having. So it was a neighbor up the street that was saying like, yeah, no, and the star got them. So, you got to give God credit because he had to go back millions of years and know when to get that star started revving up. So that it would shine and the light would get to the earth at the right time.
Yep.
And I was like, at the time I was a kid, and so I couldn't put my finger on it. But there was something about that just seemed like baloney to me as reasoning, like unreasoned baloney of like, oh, well, God, who has the power to start stars, has the very difficult task of igniting a star so that its light will reach the earth in the sky at the same time as these human beings. Because I as a child, I couldn't reason through, but also he arranged that the people would be there and that the planets would be there and that everything in existence, all of it. So this one thing where there's a star in the sky from a legend actually isn't that impressive if you believe in a creator God.
Yeah.
And like at that time...
I think he cheated and did a comet.
Why?
Because it's just a big snowball in space. He just
Well,
there you go.
You what? You think he's like slept in on the day he was supposed to start on the day, since days can exist independent of Earth in Bible world?
He rested.
He rested in too late during the day to start the star on the right day or something?
Comet.
So he was just like, no. So he was just like, fuck it. I'll wait until later and do a comet.
Yeah.
He rested because his omnipotence was tired.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, have you ever been omnipotent? Do you know how tiring it is to be omnipotent? God.
It's embarrassing. Do they have celestial...
I think you're thinking of incontinent.
Do they have celestial Viagra? For the omnipotent deity in your life.
It's attached to me. Yeah, all right.
Oh my God. All right. And I think we'll end bit on that bit. So,
did y'all miss me?
Yes, we did.
Thank you very much.
We have another Fox News story talking about the same jerk off.
Oh, what?
Jeffries?
That doesn't count as a thing if it's two of the same one.
It's not. It's a different interview that we're giving this guy screen time here.
We're giving him 2. All right.
Fox News pastor.
I
Democrats are truly becoming a godless party.
mean, no, but oh no! Tell me more.
Okay, during a discussion last night with Lou Dobbs, on Fox Business Channel, Pastor Robert Jeffries denounced the Democratic Party for passing a resolution that he claimed was an endorsement of godlessness. To the rest of us, the ones who live in reality, the DNC simply acknowledge the value, ethical soundness, and importance of non-religious Americans.
Is that your Hemet voice?
No, that I shouldn't have read. I thought that was him. Sorry.
No, you're good.
To the rest of us, the ones who live in reality, the DNC simply acknowledge the value, ethical soundness, and importance of non-religious Americans. Dobbs, the Democrats seem to be a party of hate before any other quality. Jeffries, how do you even pronounce it?
Just say J Fresh.
J Fresh. Okay. And they are a godless party, Lou, and becoming more so. You remember back in 2012 when they had an argument on national television at their convention about removing God from their platform? Then in 2016 at their convention, they had a pastor up there praying, and he gets heckled. And now, even this weekend, the Democratic Party passes a resolution saying we enthusiastically support the values of the religiously unaffiliated in America. Religiously unaffiliated is code for godlessness. They are truly becoming a godless party by their outreach and certainly by their beliefs.
Or lack thereof. He doesn't know that.
He doesn't believe that. He thinks we all say, no, God does not exist. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, no, it's like, I believe that.
Wow.
I believe that God does
What
not
a
exist.
petty little man.
I know.
So my thing is, it threw me off immediately because I was sort of like, okay, he's going to hyperbole. Let me see if I can do it. And then you were like, and they are truly becoming a godless party, Lou. And it's like, I don't know. Just the addition of the name.
insane.
It's like, I don't know.
And you listen to the tap dance that these guys do when you bring up separation of church and state.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they think it's
It doesn't
like
apply to them.
Yeah, it's like constitutional jurisprudence. They think they have the answer and they're wrong.
We're a Christian nation.
Oh, where's that? Where does anyone have a copy of Andrew Seidel's book that I can thump you with?
We have the
Boom.
other book.
Which one? You mean the Bible over there?
No, the other Seidel book. Chicka wow wow.
Oh yeah, there's some. Yeah, okay. No, we're good.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Andrew, don't hate me, please.
Thank you, Hemet.
And he adds at the end, according to the resolution that they passed, non-religious Americans embrace rational public policy based on sound science and universal humanistic values. That's it. That's what Jeffries is so mad about.
I guess he heard that they exist.
Yes. I guess he heard rational and alarm bells went off in his head because they couldn't possibly be talking about people like him. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's it's kind of a nonviolent religious war they're fighting because they have the infidels and the other and the godless and the apostates and they literally it's everything but this is our territory and we control it with guns.
Right.
That's the only part that's missing.
And
all of the rhetoric.
Their enemies are arrayed before them.
Yeah.
Well, all of the rhetoric is there, and it's like luckily they're doing a really bad job, it appears, of radicalizing people. But if they were better at that, like
we'd be screwed.
People on Twitter, oh, American Taliban. Yeah, wait until they actually learn how to do that, and then it won't be a dig. It'll just be an accurate description of their tactics. But yeah, so in any case, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
pretty crazy. I mean, I don't know if they're ramping up the.
It's so weird because they take
it's always been this horrible.
They take this defensive position.
It hasn't always been this
yet the core of their religion or their prophecies is the martyrdom that they are supposed to experience. So they're supposed to be persecuted, yet they've put themselves in a position to persecute. And this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
They've planted themselves, embedded themselves in the government in such a way that they are capable. Their whole agenda is to persecute the gay and lesbians, persecute minorities, immigrants.
Yep.
Yeah, well, so it's the story of, religious groups taking their religion seriously and getting civil authority, basically, the world over, right?
It never turns out well.
No, yeah. So we right now we only have Vatican City, but before that we had Papal States and blah, 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 history of Europe, blah, 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 Spanish and German inquisitions, blah, 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 blah. It's bad when the religiously orthodox are in power because balancing power and the interests of citizens involves caring about what they want and finding good ways to compromise interests so that everyone gets the best deal possible, rather than I have the answer, shut up, sit down.
Right.
Shut up and sit down if you're a woman, if you're a man, get in line.
Yeah, the religious can't compromise.
Yeah.
And the ideals are just so conflicting. I mean, for most part, I know that there's a lot of bad things that Jesus taught, but for most part, he was a pacifist. At least that's for the most part.
For the most part, he reads like a cult leader.
He does, but there was love your neighbor, love your neighbor, that type of thing. But so how do you get pacifist Jesus to jive with your gun rights person? How do you get Jesus, you take care of the sick and poor and the weak, and the person who's like put children in cages that are immigrating from a war-torn nation?
Well, they're
How do you get Jesus in the Middle East into Jesus riding a Tyrannosaurus?
Right.
So they
How do you get Jesus in the Middle East?
Sorry.
Jesus being a white guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, God, it's with these rhetorical questions. I'm always fundamentally like,
Trying to find an answer, huh?
Allow me to play angel's advocate. I can do it. No, through evolving traditions of the church that are a response to the social conditions of the time. But that doesn't work as like a snappy answer. Like, where the fuck did Republican Jesus come from? Which is a meme online. You would like Republican Jesus, I think.
Really?
You would like looking at tweets of, and then eventually they made a video of Republican Jesus that's just like, it's great. Yeah, I don't know. I think I cut you off in the middle of saying something, Dennis.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's right. Because now I have a copy of the founding.
Yes.
And I can thump you with it. With your, although you've talked about whatever. I don't know. I'm tired of hearing that this is a Christian nation, Jesus people, and that American means white and Christian. It's like, no, it doesn't. You're wrong. I mean, we know that that's not true, but go on. I'll listen.
I remember when I was a child, I asked my dad, isn't technically Christianity a Middle Eastern religion? Ooh, he freaked out.
Oh,
yeah.
Where do all the copies of the Bible come from?
China, actually, is the fun answer to that.
Well, no. I mean, where do the Dead Sea Scrolls come from? Well,
the Holy
the
Land.
Dead Sea.
It's
The
not.
Holy
It's
Land.
not. It's not the land.
Oh, it's not the Middle East. It's the Holy
the
Land.
Holy Land.
Oh boy.
See,
Right.
like listen with
We have a different word for everything.
yep. They have a different epistle for everything. No,
When I was a kid,
That's letter
our
and
church
not-
told us that Jerusalem was a prophecy that the U.S. would be great because in the middle of Jerusalem is USA.
Oh my.
I feel like I need to just let that hang in the air for a second.
That's right up there with the only word you can make out of Santa is Satan.
You really need to leave apologetics to the
God.
professionals.
Can't spell good without God. Wow, this God you talk about, he really loved English, the only language that you
Can that be
happen to
Goddo?
speak.
Yeah.
Goddo.
Gadu.
Oh God.
Good.
Oh, God.
Good. Yeah. Boy.
Or you add an O. Oh God. Oh.
There's a USA in the middle.
It's like,
Yep.
Nope.
Jeez. There's
No.
no I in team.
It's sort of like God.
There is an ME.
There's an I don't know, EM, as in this is an emergency. I don't know. I can't spell well enough to think of another word with USA.
Yeah, no.
In the middle of
don't
it.
worry about it. I'm sure we can leave that as an exercise for the listeners.
Yes, please. You can tweet them at me. That would actually be great.
Tweet them at Bandana Guy.
It's not. No. Fuck you. Twitter at Jamie the Heathen. Twitter. I'm going to have to change my Twitter name to Bandana Guy.
BandanaGuy.com.
That's also not a thing. If someone's going to take
more
that
hits,
and
man.
make it a porn thing. Yes. All right. You can find all of my objections to Derrick's existence at fuckyouderrick.com. All right. Boom.
/ banana bandana.
Fuckyyouderrick.com / backhanded or whatever that thing was.
Bandana
All right,
bandana.
all right, quick,
Banana
wait.
bandana.
Let's go to the next story.
Do we have another story? All right.
You have another. Or yeah. The
Yes.
next story. It's a great book. You should read it.
At least it's not that preacher again. Federal Appeals Court greenlights discrimination against non-theists.
Of course it does.
Right. So,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Let's
off
see.
mid-flow.
I can-
Yeah, I mean, to the audience, just brace yourselves. You've got a couple more decades of this shit going.
yeah, a federal appeals court on Friday handed down a disturbing ruling that elevates the rights of theistic believers over those of non-theists. The Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decision in Fields versus Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives is part of a troubling trend in the courts that not only dilutes separation of church and state, but grants special privileges to people because they believe in a God. Americans United and American Atheists brought the case on behalf of a group of non-theists in the state who wanted to do something theistic believers do frequently: give guest invocations before the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Officials at the House refused, and AU filed suit. Atheists United filed suit.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that Americans United and its allies were not trying to stop the prayers before the House entirely. All we sought was equal treatment between believers and non-theists. However, nevertheless, the court ruled 2-1 that the House could constitutionally turn away the non-theists. Its logic is troubling. According to the court, non-theistic people are not capable of meeting the goals of legislative prayer. Only believers in the divine can do that.
There are no goals of legislative prayer.
How the fuck is this not establishment of a religion?
It is.
The state establishing a religion. How the fuck is that not that?
It's sponsorship of religion. So the argument that needs to be made here that fails is like, oh, no, it's not establishing a religion. It's just acknowledging that non-belief is, here, we'll take of that. Oh, no, it's not establishing a religion. It's, just establishing that non-religion isn't. But the problem with this argument is that when the Constitution was written and the jurisprudence that's developed since then, which is almost... you can give whatever. Comparisons don't matter, but is equally as important in order to understand where we are. It didn't say, oh, you can establish 2 religions and then you're fine. That would also be unconstitutional. So would 3. So would 4. So would 5. So would all of them. So don't say, oh, because we're just excluding non-believers, we're not establishing religion. It is establishing religion.
Yeah, they just did.
Yeah.
Only theistic prayer can satisfy all the traditional purposes of legislative prayer, wrote the court.
I mean, that is almost true because particularly reading Seidel, the founders had a very patrician view of the plebeians.
Right.
Of they don't have the time and education to reason for what's good. They need religion. And so arguably the only reason they would have, and the only reason they had, to have any kind of prayers or whatever was to satisfy religious zealots. Like there's an Episcopal bishop that was there before the Constitutional Convention in a meeting, and they suggested that he give the prayer because, well, I don't have a problem with it, and I understand that he is a man that would have a problem hearing someone else's prayer, so we'll let him do it. So if your statement is, well, having a theistic prayer satiates the desires of radical believers,
Yeah.
That's thou traditional usage. There. If that shows up in a fucking federal court decision, one, I'm going to be really proud of my ability to reason, and two, I will weep for my country.
Yep.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Court went on to say, as a matter of traditional practice, a petition to human wisdom and the power of science does not capture the full sense of prayer historically understood.
What state is this? Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania. At bottom, legislative prayer seeks divine guidance in lawmaking. And that is precisely what we don't fucking want.
No, it doesn't. It's never...
This is frustrating. This is really frustrating. 2019, we're still dealing with superstition and fairy tales and magic incantations, which is what prayer is.
Yeah. I mean, Christians made fun of medicine men and
shamans
and what they consider savages and all this because they believed in evil spirits.
Yeah.
And here they are, believing in evil spirits. And
so would you say that most
like,
Americans, Christian or non-Christian or whatever religion, would say that government is broken?
I mean, my understanding, actually, no, I don't have any data on that. However, my feeling...
Just a feeling. Most people, you generally...
allow me to wildly speculate about the feelings of my fellow country people based on the feeling.
Which is a simplistic answer. Do you think most people, if you ask most people about the government, would they agree that they would say that it's probably broken? My point is...
I think they would agree with that phrasing.
Yeah. My point is that we've had prayer. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working.
The court buttressed its argument by
They did what?
Buttressed.
Buttressed its argument by pointing to historical practices.
How does one buttress?
No, so to buttress something is to support it.
Support it, yeah.
Yes, from a foundational viewpoint. So it's from like flying buttresses in churches allowed them to have taller and larger,
like buttress
more beautiful cathedrals. What the fuck? Buttressize?
Butterflies.
Butterflies?
No, buttress flies.
Buttress flies.
Yeah.
What are you saying words right now? What is this? You look like I don't know. I feel like I'm being
continue.
Yes, please.
Continue.
Please restore reason to
As
this
Judge
discourse.
L. Felipe Restrepo noted in his dissent, limiting prayer to theists only requires the government to wade into a theological thicket.
Yep.
Buddhism, he noted, doesn't have a concept of a personal God, but is still considered a major world religion. Yet, under the rules of the Pennsylvania House, Buddhists could be excluded from offering guest prayers. The court's majority opinion, however, insisted that it would be unconstitutional to exclude Buddhists. Restrepo further observed, by mandating that all guest chaplains profess a belief in a higher power or God, the Pennsylvania House fails to stay neutral in matters of religious theory. In effect, the Pennsylvania House promotes one religious theory, belief in God or some sort of supreme deity, against another, the denial of the existence of such a deity. Or something,
Yes.
While the ruling is limited to the issue of legislative prayer, it's still troubling. It's yet another in a problematic line of recent decisions that allow government entities to endorse and promote religion. Just about always Christianity, as long as it's being done for historic purposes.
For historic purposes.
Historic.
As long as it's done for... So not about invoking God.
They're allowing it. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, allow me to
Invoking
fucking
God.
cross-examine some fucking witnesses right here. My lay person, non-lawyer self. Yeah.
I'd be kind of pissed because, I mean, I didn't vote for these assholes to be praying. I voted for them to be doing shit.
I was gonna say, can we vote on the prayer? Because...
And I know I've heard stories in past from other government groups, where they had somebody come in who was maybe of an Indian religion, the Hindi, or even Muslim, and the Christians literally just get up and walk out.
Yeah, there was one particular case in
Texas.
No,
Oklahoma?
it was some
Alabama?
state.
Mississippi,
in the United States. Fuck, I forget where it is.
Atlanta,
It's basically the story
Florida?
that you just described. No, I don't. It may have
North
been
Carolina?
Florida, or North Carolina. I think it was East Coast, south of the Northeast.
Yeah. There's a bit of editorializing at the end here. While treating non-theists like second-class citizens may have been part of our nation's history, it's a shameful practice, hardly something we ought to uphold today. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know. I think, well, Thomas Paine had his problems because he didn't keep his mouth shut about, not believing. But we had deists and non-believers and all sorts of whatever. There's this book I'm going to hand you, Dennis. It's actually really good. This will be great.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's, for our next segment, I don't know. I feel like I've hit that one to death. Derrick, do you have anything else you wanted to add on that before we go to our first listener mail?
I'm good.
All right. Well, then, to the listener mail. Dennis, grace us with your vocal
Let's
cords.
see. What do we got here? Let's see. Chuck in Arizona writes, when someone prays for something and gets it, it's considered evidence that God sometimes answers prayers. So if I order God to give me something and I get it, is that evidence that God sometimes obeys commands? It should, since it's the same standard of evidence.
That is amazing. So when you started this email, I thought it was going to say, but the misses aren't counted. And I was going to say,
But that's
it's
an
a classic
excellent thing.
But yeah.
God, I command you to do this. And God can answer, yes, sir, no, sir.
I was going to say, so either you have a rebellious God that rebels against your command, or an
I got one. I got
That's
one. God,
interesting.
God,
I
I
like
command you to do nothing.
Yeah.
And say, because then it's, oh no, he reached out to me and touched my heart. That counts as a thing.
Yeah, I pointed out that I'm on Quora now for some
Yeah, why?
reason. It's fascinating.
Okay.
You're on what?
You should try.
something called Quora.
You should do
It's questions
Reddit.
and answers.
Reddit. It's Yahoo Answers without the Yahoos.
Yeah. But I mentioned the devil can completely defeat God by doing nothing. All
That's
the devil
true,
has to do is sit on his thumbs, not create the Antichrist, and God's plans go poof.
Yeah. Or he could come down to Earth and pose as a human and run a club. What's the premise of Lucifer again?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my trolling days, I used to tell Christians that they'd already taken the mark of the beast and were damned forever. So give up.
Wow.
Huh?
Oh, anytime they go into a club and you get a stamp on your hand?
Driver's license, social security number, discount cards that actually encourage
All
you
the-
to do transactions on the Sabbath.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I wrote a story. I wrote a story about the mark of the beast and talking about how people had already taken it without knowing it, and because the mark of the beast, and I did a little bit of research on it, is that so there's a mark that's on the hand and a mark that's on the forehead, and seeing that people nowadays are so freaked out they're not going to take an actual mark. It had to be symbolic. So the mark on the hand was actually a symbol of action, which is doing transactions on the Sabbath. And then the mark of the mark of the beast the mark on the forehead was actually a symbol of thought, or taking a philosophy or thought.
Right.
So don't do anything that I don't tell you to, and don't think about it.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. that was
can they stick to one thing, really? The mark of the beast isn't a mark anymore? Lame. Now I have no reasons to get a tattoo.
Is that what you got? Is it, you got a 666 up there underneath your bandana?
No. It's a headband. God, you're the worst. Okay. Chuck, that was actually really that's really interesting.
That's really good.
That's awesome.
People can write in with their stories about how they commanded God to do stuff.
Please do. Yeah. If you're on Twitter, Dennis, you're not on Twitter.
He's our servant.
Yeah.
I am.
God, I command you not to make it rain here in Texas.
I think wait, do I not follow you? What's your
don't
Twitter
know.
handle?
I don't
Dennis,
know off the
Twitter,
top
Dennis.
of my head.
All right. Well, then it's probably
Denis Loubet. Yeah.
oh my God. All right. Look, I'm trying to do this thing and help a movement, and so I'm trying to learn how to do Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram.
Oh yeah, I know.
On all of which
Tough.
I am
I'm going
Jamie
to have to
the
learn
Heathen
that myself.
Yeah, and I'm surrounded
thing?
by and I'm surrounded by people that are like, oh yeah, we're all doing this, and I go, oh, Snapchat, Instagram, and they don't give a shit, and it makes me feel like I'm going crazy. Dennis, get on Twitter. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Well, Chuck's got another one.
Oh, Chuck.
And this one's, I think, just as good. If, as is claimed, God has all perfections such as maximal power and maximal knowledge, then wouldn't he also have maximal contentment? After all, being dissatisfied about something would ruin a perfect day for me, so God must be perfectly satisfied at all times and would therefore never do anything. So even if God exists, he didn't create us, doesn't care what we do, and wouldn't be giving us eternal life after death.
I missed the first part of the premise that establishes that perfect contentment is a part of his being. Is that because it's not omni, it's triple omni, right?
Well, he's saying God has all perfections and perfect maximal contentment. Now, I'm not sure if Christians would
go for that.
Would say that contentment is a virtue.
Well, it's
They
certainly
might
not a
rate it up there with pride or something.
So if I were to, and for simplify
humans.
it, I'm going to
But I
simplify
like
it.
it.
Say that existence is from here to here, and so this is infinity here, and God was existing at this chunk of infinity, content, and then all of a sudden something changed where I need to make a creation.
Yeah.
And then boom, I need to wipe it out with a flood. And then boom, I need to wipe it out again with the second coming and blah, blah, blah.
lots of
and then we have infinity on this end.
we have to assume that means lots of discontentment.
Yeah.
So I think
And so he has to do something.
Why do you
about
go
it?
to the Humane
Bizarre.
Society and look for a pet? Because you are missing something in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a
So
pet-shaped
he's-
hole in your heart.
so
I
he's
think we've unraveled the mystery of God.
got a hole in
is
his
that he's
heart.
got like a stereotypical, American stereotype of a French person sort of personality. Like he's completely content and bored with existence. And so
he
I will
smokes those
create
little cigarettes
I will
and-
create the world so that there is an origin for my little cigarettes. So blah. Be good over here, And then just like, I'll wash it and do it again. And then my French accent is going German for some reason. But
Say croissant.
croissant.
Feel so cultured.
Oh, you kill me. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Is it another Chuck? Do we have another Chuck installment? Do we have a fourth guest host? Is it Chuck from Arizona? The mystery is mounting. French God is content to wait. Truly, to pray to God, one must say, Henri is the way. What do we got?
Not sure I agree with this one. We'll see.
Well,
I have it's Chuck again.
hey, Chuck.
I have an easy way to deal with the problem of the promotion of religion on public monuments.
I hope that I am surprised. Okay, go.
Get the government out of the monument building, out of the monument business completely. Then if a bunch of people want a monument, instead of having the government, they can do it. They can pool their money, buy a plot of land, and pay to have it built themselves. Then they can inscribe whatever they like on it. As an added benefit, people who don't think we need the monument won't have to help pay for it. And since our representatives won't have to spend time discussing and voting on monuments, maybe they can get some real work done or work part-time and take pay cuts. The problem
We
with that
don't
one
want
is
our representatives to work
they'll-
part-time?
they'll- if they can get money to buy private jets, they can get money to buy,
I mean, the thing is,
lavish monuments, and we'll have to suffer with those eyesores all the time. And I'm not sure that's a improvement.
You think they're going to want to forego their private jets and whatnot for a piece of
I
stone
don't
that's
know.
going to go to the community?
Well, that is an issue. I don't know. Can they sacrifice their personal comfort for an ideological gesture?
I mean, if they're a prosperity preacher, they can sacrifice the comfort of their parishioners.
Yes.
But, they kind of already do that. Like every giant church thing, every set of 3 crosses that have ever been erected on the top of a hill, these are monuments.
Private property.
They can already do that. So this sort of amounts to, well, if they're going to try and take the government and use it to make these monuments, well, why don't we take our government monument-making ball and go home? Because at least then they can't fuck with it. But I think that there's actually a purpose served by having civic monuments.
Yeah, I think monuments are cool.
Well, but I
mean, it supports the arts and
it supports the arts but it also it reminds people that we have a shared civic,
shared vision, a shared
nation, as it were. But yeah,
I would hate it if the
mentality
Lincoln
of
Monument was never created. I mean, that thing's beautiful.
Yeah.
All the horsies at the state capitol.
Yeah,
sure.
There's a lot of a lot of horses there. Sorry, and now I'm trying to think of how many of the monuments at the Texas State Capitol have horses on them. Yeah, I don't know.
They're not Confederate horses, are they?
Hate horses.
Hey, that's not the horse's fault. They didn't choose. They did not. Look, I'll say this.
Confederate horses.
Horses are entirely amoral, and they don't take sides in wars, all right? You can say whatever about the God you believe in. Don't try and tell me that horse cares who wins this battle. They just want feed at the end of the day.
It's going to be the bipeds in charge of us regardless. That's right.
Those damn dirty horses.
Oh my God.
Get your hooves off me, you damn dirty horse.
Oh my God.
Jeremy.
That's right. Planet of
my
the
God.
Horses.
Is that are you trying to do Planet of the I haven't seen the movie.
Yes.
But I'm familiar with that trope.
Yes.
And, Out of the Sand or whatever. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
But are you doing, is that Gulliver's Travels, that movie that was made?
Mr. Red.
Yeah, okay. And now I don't know what that is and I don't want to. So,
Mr. Ed? No. Wilbur?
Yeah.
Wilbur.
Well, I think that, hey, you have one more story for us?
I do.
Well, let's get the next story.
This one's amusing. Harry Potter books removed from school library because they contain real curses and spells.
Fuck me. All right.
Yes.
Well, at least they're removing those instead of science textbooks,
Wasn't
right?
this over with the D&D
No.
panic? I mean,
No.
a Roman Catholic school in Tennessee has banished
course.
J.K. Rowling's universally popular series of Harry Potter novels from its library shelves after its pastor took exception to their portrayal of magic, warning the spells and curses the author describes are real and risk conjuring evil spirits when read.
Okay, so here's my immediate problem with this. You said Roman Catholic school in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Mass used to be read and said in Latin. It's actually the origin of phrases like hocus pocus, because hocus pocus was the moment when they hold the Eucharist in the air when kazam, now it's actual blood. Yeah, kazam I don't think is probably not from the Latin because it has a K. The spells in Harry Potter are Latin phrases. So you get down to the point where it's like if you can get into a conversation with a person that believes in a god and you say, well, why this particular brand of magic? And they try and explain that, no, it's not magic, it's God. Other stuff is magic. And they don't have a way of distinguishing it. Well, this is that institutionalized. Basically, no one else is allowed to know Latin anymore.
Right.
But because Latin is magic.
And this is...
So I didn't waste my years in high school taking it as a language.
And this is easily testable bullshit right here.
Well, I mean, don't say it in the studio. What if it goes off? What if your magic spell goes off accidentally? If you
Well, then I mute it.
What? No. If I thought you were going to say it's easily testable bullshit and then try and say something in Latin. And
Exponius Patronus.
Nope.
Erectile dysfunctionis.
Luckily,
I got your wand right here.
I was going to... That just sounds like, yeah, I've got your wand right here, middle fingers.
I want to do a curse on you. Erectus difficalis.
Yes. Yeah, my favorite thing is that it has to actually be Latin. That's why he was afraid. So come back at me when you've learned something, son. Punk, get out of here till you know Latin. It's my response to that. Wow. Is there more to this story, or is it just a guy freaking out? Because
the Reverend Dan Rehill explained his decision in an email. I'm glad he explained it. Wow. To the parents of students at St. Edward Catholic School in Nashville, declaring that he had consulted with exorcists in the U.S. and at the Vatican before outlawing the 7-volume tale of the boy wizard's career at Hogwarts and his battle against Lord Voldemort and the forces of darkness.
Wait, I
wonder how long this person has been waiting to write an article that says that. That's awesome.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just
These
read
books
that
present...
Read back the last sentence. Just
Okay.
the forces of darkness.
Right. Declaring that he had consulted with exorcists in the U.S. and at the Vatican before outlawing the 7-volume tale of the boy wizard's career at Hogwarts and his battle against Lord Voldemort and the forces of darkness.
Dun, dun, dun.
The 7-volume tale.
Yes.
Oh,
it's bigger than the Bible. That means it's more true.
If you stacked up all the copies of Harry Potter from here, they would reach from here to the moon. So,
And back.
And back, probably. Twice. Here, hit the
These
next
books
sentence.
present magic as both good and evil, which is not true, but in fact a clever deception. The curses and spells used in the books are actual curses and spells, which when read by a human being when read by a human being risk conjuring evil spirits into the presence of the person reading the text.
It's human being in 2 words is what it is.
Read by a human being, risk conjuring evil spirits into the presence of the person reading the text. The Reverend Rehill wrote, apparently in all seriousness. I love that bit of editorializing.
Yes,
that's
well
well stated.
Yes.
Rebecca Hamill, the superintendent of schools for the Catholic Diocese of Nashville, told the Tennessean that the Reverend Rehill had indeed sent the email and has the final say on the matter, since the Catholic Church does not have an official position on Ms. Rowling's best-selling series. Each pastor has canonical authority to make such decisions for his parish school, she said. He's well within his authority to act in that manner. The school has recently opened a new library for its students, Ms. Hamill explained, prompting the faculty to reassess its catalog.
Okay.
I know that in the process they were going through and kind of weeding out some of the content in hopes of sprucing it up and improving the circulation, she said. Ms. Hamill did say the school would not stand in the way of students reading Harry Potter at their parents' discretion. Should parents deem that this or any other media to be appropriate, we would hope that they would just guide their sons and daughters to understand the content through the lens of our faith, Hamill said. We really don't get into censorship in such selections other than making sure that what we put in our school library is age-appropriate materials for our classrooms.
There is a whole...
I object to the Bible being in there. Have you read the Song of Solomon?
This just proves to me that there's a whole lot of dumb...
Again, man.
There's a whole lot of dumb in the world today.
Yeah, there is.
There's a pestilence of stupid swooping across the land.
They have an issue with the issue of horses. Yes.
With it? What? Wait. Too much. What? Dennis, what? What does that mean?
You
An
got
issue
what?
of horses.
What do you
Isn't
mean,
that
an
the-
issue of horses?
They're hate animals.
You haven't read your Bible. And their issue was as
one?
the issue of horses.
I don't know this phrase.
Oh, it's One of the juicy
All right.
ones.
Well, now you're...
Literally juicy ones.
Oh, you're talking about Ezekiel
The
23:20.
issue.
Ezekiel
The
23:20.
issue.
Ezekiel
Yes.
23:20. I know this verse. There it is. I was not thinking with that which was issued by. I was thinking
issue of.
Sorry, my mind took like a step back and like was prepared to defend itself from content.
Your brain was defending itself. Yes,
was sort of like, all right, maintain a grip on one hand for you, one hand for the boat of reality, or as the saying goes.
Their issue was this issue of horses. Horses are again in the story.
Yeah, well, horses are bad people.
Ezekiel 25:20, isn't that what Samuel Jackson said?
23:20. No, Samuel Jackson didn't quote a real passage.
Okay.
I mean, Google it. Don't just take my word for it. 23, Ezekiel 23:20.
Okay.
That's the one where it's like it's not the whore of Babylon. It's someone else. It's some other.
It's some party. Yeah.
Some party.
Two adulterous sisters.
Oh, yeah. What is
okay.
Ahola?
Yeah, members.
And
the members of donkeys.
Ahola and Holaba?
Is like the issue of horses.
Yes.
That's like Meshach, and Abednego.
Where do I know that phrase from? As a quick aside, before we.
Bandicoot? What?
No.
Meshach, and Abednego.
No, don't know that.
Why would you bend a goat?
I don't know. That's
what did the goat ever do to you? Don't answer that. Call a lawyer. That's my advice.
Flash Bandicoot?
No. Oh, my Lord. So it's possible, like, that the school is operating perfectly fine and teaching people things.
And they can have whatever they want in their library.
And
it's just amusing.
It definitely is. And they built a new library. And then...
Ew,
Pastor.
Gross. There she lusted after her lovers whose genitals were that of a donkey and whose emissions were like that of a horse.
Yeah.
Or whose emissions were like the issue.
I've heard it said issue or emissions.
His emissions was that of a horse.
He's reading the NIV.
Yeah, different one. But yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Horse porn.
I was going to say a whole lot of spunk.
Gross.
Yep.
But and it's
this
possible
woman is
that they had like
he's operating it normally, then what she's saying is he's allowed to decree what a real magical spell is.
Well,
which is kind of bizarre.
Well, so I don't think that she's saying whatever he says is a spell is a spell. I believe that she's saying he has authority to shepherd his flock. Why am I don't know. It's my lot in life.
Weird.
All right. He has canonical authority to make decisions like this in order to guide the people into faith.
But I think she was talking about his decision to remove the book, not his reasons for removing the book. And so I don't know.
Me, that sounded like this is the phrase that I say because I'm talking to a person that is a reporter, which is, he has the authority to do this because the Catholic Church does not have a canonical position. So it's possible there's a reading of that, and if you knew the person and you had their like facial gestures of saying, well, the Catholic Church doesn't have a position on Harry Potter.
On Harry Potter and the spells being real.
On the spells being real, yeah.
So basically,
therefore...
But he does.
Yeah.
So basically you're saying she's trying to explain this in a way that doesn't make her sound like a complete idiot.
Yes.
No, that doesn't make the rest of the administration. So I feel like I am the defense attorney for all of the faithful subjects that cross our thing.
What do you have against Harry Potter?
Do you have reasonable doubt about whether or not the whole school is teaching some Jesus, or is it just perhaps that one dude?
So, Jamie, what's your problem with Harry Potter?
They built a new library. Why would they need a new library unless they had more than one book?
Jamie, what's your problem with Harry Potter? It's a good book.
I don't have a problem with Harry Potter.
You're defending it?
I have a problem with people condemning an entire I don't actually.
Do you have a problem with curses and hexes? I think they're cool.
I have a problem with one-sided arguments. I think is the problem that I have.
I hexed you.
And the chair is
It didn't break.
It didn't break? Oh, it just you pulled the lever.
I
on it.
accidentally hit the lever with
My-
For
my
those
foot.
listening,
My spell worked.
It wasn't the devil
gonna say-
pulling me to hell.
I was going to say, oh, wow.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you should be careful. Maybe you accidentally said something about chairs in Latin a second ago. Just, don't do it. Don't. No,
Sorry.
don't. I've given him the idea now. I'm going to
I'm sorry. I don't know my own power sometimes.
Yeah, you don't. Whew. Oh, wow.
Lucifer Palooza. Yep.
What?
I don't
That
know.
actually, I feel
I don't
like,
know why I said that.
I was going to say, I feel like I would go to that convention. Or
Definitely
I
be
would click on the ad for that, Lucifer Palooza.
Lucifer Palooza.
Because isn't Palooza usually music?
Yeah.
It would
Or
probably
some
be.
sort of hoedown.
I mean, the hose and down are sort of Satan-y things. Yeah.
Shindig.
It's like I don't know why I thought of this. It's like the Catholic substitute of fun. Like fun you are instead of swearing, and it's because all the things that are fun are sin.
That's what people tend to think. It goes along with all the food that's good is bad for you.
Well, I don't know.
Everything
Fruit
that tastes
pretty
good
Candy
kills you.
tastes good.
Yeah.
Candy must taste good because it's bad for you. Well, it's just balancing a diet, not that. Wow, I really am countercase everything
Yes.
today. I don't know what it is. It's me against everyone else's opinions at a time.
We'll pray for
Ever.
you.
Oh God, don't do that.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that a spell? Would that be a spell?
No,
If it's coming from me, it'd probably be a
it's-
curse.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you say it in Latin, then it counts. Then you're gonna summon a demon.
So if I pray for you in a positive way, is that like a spell, or like or if I pray that something bad happens to you, is that a
You're
curse?
possessed by a demon.
Majinx.
I was gonna say if we're talking about being possessed by demons, take a look at people speaking in tongues.
Why'd
But
you look at him?
Well, if you give an atheist invocation, what is that?
it depends on whether you give it in Latin, apparently, because those are the magic words.
Yep.
It is tricky to do
Don't make me use my magic again and make you fall on the floor.
Hey, whoa!
I'll do
This
it.
is a Latin-free show. It's a rule established now.
Well, I know what I'm doing for my next intro.
Oh, fuck. All right.
No.
Well, no, I was going to say, we can. It just has to have the clip of that last time
Right.
on the nonprofits. This is a Latin-free show. Well, I know what I'm doing for me. And then just, salvete. That's Latin. That doesn't work as a joke. Okay. What the fuck were we talking about? We were talking about the Catholic guy whose name you didn't actually say, I think.
We're talking about the lady
'Cause
trying
he-
not to sound like an idiot trying to interpret
Well, no,
this
because she
fool.
was just.
What?
Well, here, yeah, bring up her quote. Maybe I'm grasping at straws.
Let's see. Reverend Dan Rehill. And the other person they're talking to is, let's see, Ms. Hamill.
Miss Hamill. What did
Miss
Miss
Hamill.
What did Miss Hamill have to say?
She was the one who was speaking for the school. The school has recently opened a new library for its students, Ms. Hamill explained, prompting the facility to reassess its catalog. I know that in the process they were going through and kind of weeding out some of the content in hopes of sprucing it up and improving the circulation, she said. Ms. Hamill did say the school would not stand in the way of students reading Harry Potter at their parents' discretion.
I'd be interested to find out what they think spells and hexes and curses are and how to do it.
Is there contact
the hell do they
information for
work?
Mr. Rehill? For Reverend Rehill? Prophet Rehill? Dr. Rehill?
Oh, let's see.
Dan Rehill? Was it Dan? Did I get it?
Dan Rehill. Yes.
Boom! I am the best
Boom.
at names.
St. Edward's Catholic School in Nashville.
Yeah, no,
That's where he
too
is
much effort
the
to
Reverend.
Google.
Because I remember there is one spell that was really cool, the good luck spell.
No, that was a potion.
A potion, yep.
Sorry.
But it was really hard. The Felix?
Felix Felicis, yeah.
Yeah. Can you make
It's-
that for me?
No, because it's not real. But it looks like
Then I'll ask Dan.
It looks like liquid gold splashing and stirring itself. He can't make. He's opposed to all the Harry Potter spells. What? Questioning my Harry Potter knowledge and liking over here.
We can do an experiment. We can try to make it, and if I get a job and good money, then we know that it's working. We have to reassess our belief
That's
system.
not. Oh, okay.
This is a humanist wand. It has a core of pure carbon.
For those of you listening at home,
it's not a.
he is holding up a pencil right now. Continue with your humanist wand. Continue. Core of pure carbon.
I know it's not a unicorn hair or something or whatever the hell they have in the middle of the wands in Harry
Some of
Potter.
them-
It's all different.
So there's
different
unicorn
wands,
hairs, phoenix feathers.
But this one did
Newt
not
whiskers.
choose me.
That's not
I
a thing.
chose it.
The wand to the humanist wand chooses the humanist. Dear,
So would it have like a human
Dennis?
hair? Like a
No. Okay. Well, I advise you to say nothing and call. A
So if you
lawyer.
had a wand with a human part in it, would that be like cannibalism?
If you ate the wand,
Yeah.
what did you
You'd
do
have
with the
to
rest
eat
of the
wand.
human? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Get a real lawyer.
I'm gonna get an oar.
Well said.
Thank you.
I think with that, we will
Yes.
go to our final
do we go?
segment today, which is examining some shit that internet apologists say that's even more ridiculous than the last thing you just heard. Trust
Wow,
me.
That'll take some doing. Go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say. During his appearance on the Jim Baker show,
Oh, boy.
Oh Lord.
Hank Kinneman suddenly received a prophetic word from God. It's funny, they always...
Wow, on camera.
Yep, every time. I was going to say always on camera. Sometimes they just get their prophetic visions all the time,
shower.
randomly. There's one where, oh God, it was one of the preachers that was justifying getting a private jet, where he just like stood up mid-flight and was like, "Yes, Lord, tell me more." And he even describes the pilot being like, and he was just looking straight forward, not getting involved. No one was like,
Wow.
you have no self-awareness. I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah. So his justification was, because if there'd been other passengers on the plane, that would have freaked him out, kind of.
He doesn't have
So
to
n-
sit with the demons.
So now I do need a
Is that what they
$50
call
million
first class now?
Yeah.
Or coach?
Yep.
I thought first class was your old money, and then that's the top class of our
Coach is the demons,
That
right?
basically is the reason one of these
Business
preachers said that
Express.
they need a private jet.
Yeah. Did you see that
In
story as
Coach,
well?
it's demons, yeah.
Demons, man. What you gonna do?
And all he has to do is be honest and say, "Look, I
mean,
don't
he
want to
is.
ride on an airplane with you people," and just do that. You
Yeah.
That's
He
what it
wants,
is.
he wants his own jet. That's
Has
you
to
don't
have his own jet.
God. Is it? Allow me to speak potentially on his behalf. I have a bet. I believe that his reason for this is God.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Boom. So
Not
anyway,
a donkey, a private jet.
back to
Yeah.
he's a very right-wing pro-Trump pastor, and that's relevant because that's what he's talking about on the Jim Baker show the other day.
How is he still a thing?
Prophetic, but
He is.
because
He just
faith is still a thing.
Yeah.
Just
And freeze dried food.
reflect on the human condition, make it through the sort of artificial depression that results afterwards.
Have you seen his tribulation food?
No.
He sells cans of
No, he
freeze-dried
sells
food.
buckets of stuff
Buckets
that he
of stuff.
calls
Oh, my
food.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jim
it's
Baker
for the
buckets.
tribulation.
Yeah.
Right.
But they weren't laughing at my buckets when they needed them after the hurricane. Like, yeah, during a hurricane, not the tribulation. Anyway, sorry, he got
Go.
defensive.
So go.
So,
Read.
appearance on the Jim Baker show yesterday, Hank Kinneman suddenly received a prophetic word from God that the appearance of a thumb drive would be a signal that America will undergo a season of restoration in which prayer is returned to public schools and abortion is outlawed. There has been a yoke they have tried to put upon the shoulders of this president, Kinneman declared. This is not an actual impression of his voice because I just do funny voices. They have tried to yoke him and weigh him down, and even now seek to use words and proverbs of impeachment and obstruction of justice. But this shall not happen, says the Lord. God, I really want it to happen now so that I can see him. Oh, whoops.
Man.
For I have released now with my humor, with my anointing, that shall break this yoke, that shall seek to remove this president. I shall release my anointing that shall break the yoke of division and strife, and from the violence I shall unite. For out of the division taking place, I shall unite as I did when I'm... Oh, my God, he goes on
That
forever.
is quite a word salad.
When I multiplied the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, from the driving came a uniting to display my compassion for people, and so my compassion shall outweigh the anger, the hatred that shall bring this nation back on course. But watch my humor as I release an anointing that breaks this yoke, that shall cause yokes to be egg on their face that have touched what I am doing.
Okay, you know what? Okay, stop. I was gonna say what humor, but that's some funny shit.
That is some
gonna say,
insane. They let this guy walk around.
That is some funny shit. I stand
too.
corrected.
God.
I
was gonna
stand
say,
corrected when I
that's
say word to humor.
amazing.
So he doesn't mean humor in the sense he means like humors in the the sense of the
yeah.
word is used in the Greek where it's like your whatever, right?
Isn't it like
Wow.
your fluids?
Kind of, but he means it in like a
random words strung together.
Well,
Bizarre.
kind of. It's also, I mean, I don't think that he thought of this ahead of time and
So
worked
is
it
this-
out.
Yeah.
I think it was spot on
Sure,
moment.
why not?
Inspiration, he says,
Oh,
divine. I
it's
say,
direct
Wait,
from
so is
God?
this him? Is this God speaking through him? This is actually God?
this is his prophetic word that he's preaching.
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be
The
nuts.
video
Right.
is, if I'd gotten it in time, the video.
I would tell him, have a bucket of tribulation and shut the fuck up.
God cannot make himself coherent.
Well, I mean, God can't make himself not sound like this guy trying to think of what he's
wow.
just thinking
that
off the
was
top of his head.
insane.
The thing that struck me and the reason I chose this originally was that
This was a good one.
Yoke is the thing that you put on
Yeah.
oxen and you're equally yoked or whatever. And then he does a
Oh,
pun because it's
The egg in the face.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow. Right.
So God does have humor.
I mean,
God does a pun.
but watch my humor as I release an anointing that breaks this yoke that shall cause yokes to be egg on their face that I have touched what I am doing.
Wow.
That doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
I was sort of like,
A pun in the middle of a insane rant.
Listen, if I given a choice between like a super interventionist asshole God
So
and a
is
super interventionist asshole God with a sense of humor when he talks.
So
I
is
choose
this
the
thumb
latter.
drive? Is it supposed to be something like in the clouds or?
No, hold on. It's well here.
it talks
But
about-
wait, there's more.
Yeah.
I am putting my thumb upon the diabolical deeds of those that have stood before me. Kenneman continued, speaking on behalf of God.
Diabolical.
Diabolical deeds, yes. And look for a sign, a thumb drive.
Thumb drive.
thumb
Anyone's thumb
drive?
drive? What?
And the number of the counting shall be 3. I was like, when this appears, it shall be a sign of my thumb, the finger of God that has been and is upon this nation to expose that this land shall come into a season where it shall rest. For the trumpet shall be louder than the voice of the trumpet through Trump shall even blast louder, and it shall outweigh the anger and that which is against it. But then there shall come the season of restoration, and it shall be known as the hour of payback, where I will bring back the commandments, prayer in school. I will bring back, God says, the right for the unborn to live, and it shall be outlawed in your land, says the Spirit of God. Watch what I do in the season of the trumpet that blows over the next few years.
So my question is: Is it supposed to be a thumb drive in the clouds, or is it supposed to be?
No. He means like the appearance of a thumb drive.
It's unclear whether it's a thumb or a finger. It's weird.
Well, no, I mean he means like a literal thumb drive.
Yeah.
He's talking about that.
That
a
is
literal
nuts.
thumb drive. You would think that God would stick with his motif and show up with like stone plates, vote for Republican Jesus or whatever.
Right.
Who would Republican Jesus vote for?
This is some scary shit.
I mean, that he
It's
makes
like the halfway
6 times
point
as much as
between-
I ever will. But
It's like the halfway point between, English and speaking in tongues. It's
yeah. I mean, hopefully my voice that I was doing for it didn't
was
throw it off that
awesome.
much. But but it's like, I don't know. I think
bizarre stringing together.
I have to
some of the
watch
words
more
are
of his stuff
random
now
and
because he clearly likes lange, right?
Yeah.
And clearly
diabolical plans.
like his ideas were there, right? Like it's because it was off the cuff. I mean, it was randomly inspired by God, according to him, or he had inspiration for a thing to say. But his like repeat of like season and outlaws, and I don't think he actually says, "The trumpet through Trump shall blast louder and shall outweigh the dew in the season of the trumpet that blows over the next few years shall even blast louder and it shall outweigh. So look for a sign." You couldn't tell. Just then, you couldn't tell that I was just changing the order of the sentences.
Right.
Because it sounds the same.
It's just insane.
I was going to say, you should probably take some, I don't mean to be that guy, Hank, but if you take some improv classes, that might come across more.
Wow,
More holy.
That
More
is
cogently,
pretty amazing.
a little bit. Yep.
As a shit internet apologists say, that is
Never
is up
say
there.
I didn't do shit.
that's a good one.
My grandmother would say that's ignorant.
Wow,
Ignorant.
That's just ignorant.
ignorant.
I think he said he says he knows the
That's
word of
some
God.
ignorant shit right there.
Well, I don't know about it says it knows the word of God, or we can tell it's not God. Yeah?
Trumpets and Roman seasons of egg and yolk and fresh bread.
All right. Dennis,
That's awesome.
I think we're running a fun. We're running a fun time. Let me check. That's all
we?
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Take us home, Dennis.
Take us
Quick,
home.
save the audience
I?
from my
Shall I?
boom hour.
Take us
Yeah.
home,
All right.
country roads.
Premise 1, that was our show. Premise 2, we hope you enjoyed it. Premise 3, the nonprofits will broadcast again this month. Premise 4, the third Sunday of the month is in 1 week. Conclusion, another episode of the nonprofits will broadcast in 1 week on the 15th of September.